Hi, I'm Jamie Saunders, advocate for the Alzheimer's Impact Movement and volunteer with the Georgia Alzheimer's Association. I'm honored to be here with my friend Dan Gerke. Dan was a caregiver for his wife, Denise, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age 56. He spent more than 12 years caring for her until her passing in September of 2021. He became an Alzheimer's Association advocate shortly after Denise's diagnosis and continues fighting today for those who have gone silent from Alzheimer's disease. He has recently written a book, Unforgettable, Unbelievable, which reveals intimate details of his caregiving journey, offering advice and tips for those who are caregivers of this disastrous disease. And hi, Dan.
Hi,
Welcome.
Jamie. Thank you for having
Hi.
me on today. I appreciate it. And I love the
Yeah.
way you call it a disastrous disease, too. That's so very descriptive.
Yeah, for anyone who's been through this and anybody who's beginning this journey, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's a disaster of epic proportions. But
Yeah.
I'm very excited to talk to you about your book. We've been friends a long time, and it's so wonderful to see the next stage of your journey. So I guess let's just start by chatting a little bit about what inspired you to write the book.
Actually, it was mostly friends. As I was started my journey with Denise, I was talking to friends, either people at the Alzheimer's Association or my support group, and telling them of the stories that of the just the things I was going through with Denise. Denise was always animated, very vibrant, and that still showed through in her Alzheimer's stage. And so as I was telling people these stories, they said, "You should write a book." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, there's a problem with that because I'm not an author and I don't write books." And so I just kind of, tucked that away. And then after several three or 4 years of being in the journey with her, I said, "Well, this is an interesting story and probably needs to be told." So I sat down, wrote a chapter, and had a friend edit it, which hurt because good friends come up with good comments, but then
Yes.
it's tough love. And it turned out Denise's started getting worse and worse, and I just didn't have the time to do any more of it. So
Hmm.
that chapter stayed tucked away for probably about 3 or 4 years, if not more than that. And it was about a year ago, early 2023, where I subscribed to the Hay House newsletter, right? Hay House is a publisher of mostly metaphysical genres, books. And they came out with an ad that said, "Write your book in 1 year." And I thought, huh, well, if I can do this in 1 year, then maybe I can, it's something worthwhile taking on. So I signed up for the course, went through it, and began to realize that yeah, I can write this book. I can do it in a year. And I think it helps to have that time frame in your brain that okay, you're going to do this for the next year. And the course was incredibly insightful. Some of the tips were amazing to where you just sit down for 5 or 10 minutes every day, or 3 or 4 days a week, and write. And that's pretty much what I did. And so fast forward 8 months, it was there, it was done, and then it went through the editing process. So that was really the inspiration to get back to your question was through friends who said I should be writing this down.
I'm glad they did. I know.
Yeah.
I think I was one of those people
Yes.
telling you.
Yes.
It's incredible. And I love the title of the book, Unforgettable, Unbelievable. And just behind you on the desk, you can see the cover art was just stunning. Tell me a little bit about the title and how that came to be, and maybe explain some of the artwork.
Yeah, interesting story behind that. During the whole writing process, and when I mentioned I wrote that chapter probably 6 years ago now, I had in my brain that the title was going to be "Talk to Me." Okay. And that's ends up being one of the chapters, right? And so I'm down to some of my final editing. through an editor that I hired to look it over. And one of her last comments was, I don't think you should use that title, Talk to Me, because a year ago, there was a horror movie released
No.
titled Talk to Me. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
no.
really? Okay. And so I looked it up and I saw the trailer and I thought, yeah, no, I cannot put this out there as Talk to Me. It was a
Everyone's
really,
Googling that right now.
yeah, it was a scary movie. So I had to go through this complete 180-degree turn about what do I name this?
Oh,
So
wow.
I threw it out there to some friends, and several of them came back actually with very similar titles. And one of them that came back was Unforgettable, Unbelievable, and that just really resonated for a couple of reasons. Well, unforgettable, right? It talks about the disease. You do forget, but yet my experience through that, as you know, is going to be and is unforgettable. Unbelievable really talks to the gift that I found, the caregiving gift that I found through that process, and that I continue to use today with other people. So it really resonated, unforgettable, unbelievable. The cover design was done by Vanessa Lowry, and she and I it just was one of those connections that happened right away. We talked, we were in sync. I told her some of the colors that resonated with me. Obviously, I'm wearing some of those today.
Yeah,
And I didn't realize that until now. I just they're favorites anyway. And so we talked about kind of the concepts, colors I liked, themes I liked. She came back with 5 different designs, and again, this one popped through and really resonated with me. It's the colors I like. I love if I can get to the point right there, the couple, Denise and I, upside down because we were thrown into this world of being upside down that is Alzheimer's caregiving.
hmm,
And so it really speaks to the journey that we had together through that disease. So
I
yeah,
love it.
love it, love it, love it. So
It's so soft and beautiful, and of course, the purple nod to the Alzheimer's, colors is just, I mean, it's tip of the hat to you.
yeah,
It
no,
looks
well,
really great.
I give Vanessa Lowry a lot of credit. She did a fantastic job. So
It's nice when you vibe with somebody like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So Dan, in chapter one, you started with the diagnosis, and I've heard this story before, but it's always, a new detail. It's always, kind of shocking. Can you tell us about that and why you started the book right there?
Sure. I thought it was real appropriate to start it with the very beginning for us, which was the diagnosis. And as you know, really your journey with the disease starts several up to 2 to 4 years before you get a diagnosis, just
Hmm.
because when you're 56, no one's expecting that you have Alzheimer's disease. So I felt it was real important to talk about that process of getting the diagnosis because that is a challenge a lot of times, and it is truly the beginning of your journey. It was interesting again during the editing process. I had an introduction, a forward, so to speak, and I talk about the structure of the book, what happened, things like that, and several couple editors said, "You don't need that. Just dive right into it." And I thought, that's very true because that's what happens when you have this disease. You are thrown,
Yes.
pushed, shoved into the pool, so to speak,
Yeah,
and
against your
you're
will, for sure.
bam, yeah, you are there. And so that's what I thought, well, let's structure the book that way. Bam, you're right there, very beginning. Here's how the diagnosis works. And it just I've come to appreciate that kind of abruptness, suddenness of the book diving into it because that's the way the disease works in real life too.
I love that story. Um, chapter four. is very intense. It was shocking and sad, and I think, you know, I would want to know why, maybe maybe why you included "Don't Move," that chapter
Mhm.
in the book, knowing the way that people will feel when they read that.
Yeah, that was one thing I had in my introduction. I said, be aware of chapter 4. If you need to skip it, I get it. It's graphic. It was one of the worst situations I faced with Denise. It was actually the first that chapter that I wrote 5 or 6 years ago and had to put aside. Yet, God, well, you know me. I'm genuine. I'm out there. I really don't like to hide things. And I think people should understand what the disease is about. And it's not this cakewalk by any means. And it's not just about a person losing their short-term memory or even their long-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
It's about behavior changes. It's about not understanding simple tasks. And that chapter of "Don't Move," and let's be blunt about it, it's a chapter of Denise having issues in the bathroom. Um, was that just that? It was the rawness of the disease being out there and just letting people know that it's not pretty. It is not pretty. There are light moments, which I interject in the book, but "Don't Move" is all about one of those really tough times as being a caregiver and someone with the disease as well.
Well, and there are a lot of them, and I kudos to you for being so honest about it. I think the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, the better off, we as a society will be, and maybe it'll be less surprising and shocking for someone else after reading your story.
I hope so. Hope so. That was, one of the intents is to let people know what the disease is truly about.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
going down that same theme of hope, what do you hope for people, after they read your story and hear your journey? What do you want them to get out of the book?
Yeah, there are really several things. One is just having more information about what the disease is and what it does, the huge impact it has on our society. Um, One of my chapters is just that is basically the Alzheimer's Association facts and figures about the enormity of the disease, the cost, the unbelievable costs of the disease. So I want people to know more about the disease. I want them to know that it's just not a disease for grandma and grandpa to
Right.
get, somebody in their 80s. It's not that at all. Denise was, again, 56 when she was diagnosed. That's incredibly young. And because of that, offers so many different dynamics because somebody is young, healthy, vibrant. It presents all kinds of different challenges than somebody in their 80s or 90s. So I want them to know that more about the disease, um, more about different caregiving tips that we developed and we didn't know going into this disease
Hmm.
and this caregiving process. It's about, therapeutic lies and what a lifesaver therapeutic lies are. And then also to know about the gift that I received of telepathic communication with Denise, and that was truly a great uh, life-saving, I'd say, caregiving tool and tip that I was able to develop with her, so that I could help her through um, daily living, essentially. So it's several things all wrapped up, that I hope and that there are lighthearted moments and to embrace those, and because I always, as I went through the caregiving journey, I thought to myself, okay, we had this situation. I can either laugh or I can cry. And I am going to choose laughter every single time. And so that's why I interject those kind of stories into the book as well. So it's all of those wrapped up into one book.
it is amusing when you can allow yourself to go there. It's
Yeah,
definitely, there are good moments in there, and you have to find those. And I think you do a great job. I can't wait for people to read the book. It's just, to know you is to love you, and to hear your story without even knowing Denise, I feel, closer to her, and understanding, who you guys are, and what you went through. And so tell us, where do we get the book, and how do we find the book, Dan?
yeah, thank you. Well, for those of you in Atlanta, I'd be glad to meet you and sell you a hard copy.
Awesome.
Save you some shipping. You can just buy me
Yeah.
coffee instead. But for the widespread audience, it's going to be on Amazon, and
Okay.
just go there and search for Unforgettable, Unbelievable.
I can't wait for to hear the reactions. I just know it's going to be an amazing bestseller, and everybody should go out and read it. Even if you're not impacted by the disease, we all are in some way, even if you don't realize it.
Yeah, yeah,
Kudos to you, Dan. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing about your success.
great. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.